stress and can lead to children manipulating parental discord. 47. The high probability of relationship failure. Statistics consistently show that marriages involving children from previous relationships have a significantly higher divorce rate than first marriages. 48. The inevitable comparison. You will be compared, consciously or subconsciously, to the biological father. In arguments, you may hear, "Their father never did it that way," a weaponized comparison that is impossible to defeat. 49. The loss of your narrative. Your life story becomes a supporting role in her and her children's narrative. Your personal legacy is subsumed. 50. The daily grind without the biological reward. You endure the sleepless nights, teenage rebellion, and financial strain, but the primal biological reward of passing on your genes is absent. The hardship feels existential, not purposeful. Part 5. The societal and personal identity shift. 51. The stepfather stereotype. You are thrust into a cultural archetype, often portrayed as bumbling, evil, or irrelevant. There is no respected, positive cultural script for the stepfather. 52. The assumption of your role. Society, school, and other parents will assume you are the biological father, leading to awkward explanations or the erasure of your true position. 53. The judgment and scrutiny. You will be judged more harshly. A misstep in discipline or a moment of frustration, which would be overlooked in a biological father, is pathologized in a stepfather. 54. The erosion of your masculine purpose. Traditional masculine roles of protector and provider are directed toward another man's genetic line, creating a psychological dissonance where your efforts feel misapplied. 55. The good man trap. You are pressured into the marriage by societal narratives praising men who step up. To question the arrangement is to risk being labeled not a good man. 56. The loss of peer respect. Whether spoken or not, many men will see your choice as a form of capitulation, of accepting a compromised situation they themselves avoided. This can affect professional and social standing. 57. The identity confusion. Are you a father, a friend, a roommate, a bank? The role is ill-defined and constantly shifting, preventing you from settling into a secure identity within the family. 58. The pressure to suppress your needs. Your needs for peace, order, quiet, intimacy, and financial control are framed as threats to the family's stability. You learn to silence yourself. 59. The one-sided adaptation. The family system expects you to adapt to it entirely. There is minimal, if any, adaptation of the system to you. You are the variable. They are the constant. 60. The celebration of her resilience, the expectation of your sacrifice. Her journey is celebrated as heroic. Your participation is expected as baseline decency. This imbalance in recognition is psychologically draining. Part 6. The long-term and existential consequences. 61. The retirement at risk. The financial drain of raising children late into your life, potentially funding college in your 50s or 60s, can devastate your retirement savings, leaving you working indefinitely. 62. The caregiving dilemma. In your old age, will your stepchildren care for you? There is no biological or strong legal imperative for them to do so. You may face aging alone despite decades of investment. 63. The genetic dead end. If you have no biological children of your own, your genetic line, the result of millions of years of evolution, terminates with you. Your life's work benefits a genetic stranger. 64. The high-stakes gamble with diminishing returns. You are investing the prime years of your life, your resources, and emotional capital into a venture with a high probability of failure and no guaranteed return on investment. 65. The legacy of another man's name. The children you raise will carry another man's surname. Your name, your family history, may not be passed on, representing a profound existential loss. 66. The replacement part, reality. In the system's eyes, you are often viewed as a functional replacement for an absent part, the father/provider. You are valued for utility, not for your unique self. 67. The inevitable estrangement possibility. Once the children are adults, their loyalty naturally reverts to their biological parents. You can be easily sidelined, with decades of caregiving forgotten. 68. The blockage of a simpler, more focused path. This path closes the door on the potentially simpler, more financially secure, and more romantically focused path of building a family from scratch with a partner without prior commitments. 69. The compounding of regret. Regret, if it comes, compounds over decades. It is not a single moment, but a growing realization of lost opportunities, misdirected resources, and personal sacrifices that yielded little of what you fundamentally needed. 70. The question at the end: was it worth it? For many men, in the quiet moments, the answer is a devastating no. They traded their one life for a supporting role in someone else's story. Part 7. The unraveling of the fantasy. 71. The illusion of gratitude. Initial gratitude is often replaced by expectation. What was once, "Thank you for helping," becomes, "Why aren't you doing more?" 72. The myth of blending. Families don't blend like paint. They are more like a chalkboard with existing writing. You try to add your marks around the old ones, but the original text remains visible and dominant. 73. The false promise of making a difference. The idea that you will be the heroic figure who saves the family is a narcissistic fantasy. The core dynamics were set long before you arrived. 74. The overestimation of your influence. You will wildly overestimate your ability to shape the children's values and behavior, underestimating the power of biology, the influence of the absent parent, and the loyalty binds to the mother. 75. The underestimation of the ex's power. However absent or useless he may seem, his biological connection grants him a power that your presence, money, and time can never equal. A single phone call from him can undo months of your stability. 76. The romantic love versus familial duty confusion. The love for a partner is not the same as the willingness to assume paternal duty for her children. Conflating the two is the primary error that leads men into this trap. 77. The sunk cost fallacy as glue. The primary reason many stay is not love or happiness, but the sheer magnitude of invested time, money, and emotion. They fear the admission of a catastrophic misjudgment more than they dislike the daily reality. 78. The social media versus reality divide. The public image of the happy blended family is a carefully curated performance, often masking profound private strain, resentment, and isolation. 79. The slow leak, not the sudden break. The relationship rarely ends in a dramatic blow-up. It dies by 1,000 cuts. A missed date night for a child's event, a withheld paycheck for a braces payment, a glance of longing at a childless couple. 80. The ultimate reversal. You start as the solution and become the problem. When the children have issues, your presence will be scrutinized as a potential cause. You transform from savior to suspect. Part 8. The alternatives and opportunity costs. 81. The foreclosure on a first-time partnership. By choosing this, you likely foreclose on the experience of being someone's first and only, of building a shared history from the ground up, a unique bonding that cannot be replicated. 82. The diminished pool of resources for a future biological family. If you desire your own children, you enter that endeavor financially and emotionally depleted from the start. 83. The missed opportunity for unencumbered growth. Your 20s, 30s, and 40s could be spent building your career, wealth, and self-knowledge without the massive anchor of immediate paternal responsibility. 84. The simpler path not taken. The path of dating childless women, while not without challenges, avoids this entire labyrinth of complexity. It remains a viable, rational option you are choosing to bypass. 85. The biological clock becomes a ticking bomb. Her desire for more children, or lack thereof, is often dictated by her existing family's age and needs, not your personal timeline or readiness. There are 100 reasons why a man should think twice before marrying a single mother, and none of them are about the kids. They're about psychology, biology, and the hidden math of modern relationships. If you're considering stepping up, you need to hear the cold, hard truth that nobody else will tell you. You have been told a story. It is a compelling, modern story of redemption, resilience, and stepping up. It features a noble man, a grateful woman, and children who find a guiding light. This story is pervasive, championed in films, social media, and well-meaning advice columns. It sells the idea that love alone can architect a perfect blended family, that the past is merely a prologue, and that the most profound act of modern masculinity is to build upon another man's foundation. This document is not that story. This is an analysis. It is a cold, systematic examination of the psychological, biological, and socioeconomic realities that underpin the decision to marry a single mother. It strips away the sentimental narrative and replaces it with observable data, evolutionary logic, and the often brutal mathematics of resource allocation. This is not about the children. They are innocent participants in a dynamic they did not choose. This is about you, the man considering this path, and the unspoken contract you are about to sign. The thesis is simple. For the vast majority of men, entering into marriage with a single mother is a high-risk, low-reward endeavor that conflicts with deep-seated biological imperatives, financial logic, and psychological well-being. The 100 reasons are not petty grievances. They are interconnected factors that form a predictive model of potential discontent, conflict, and loss. We begin with the foundational layer, the psychological landscape you are entering. Part 1. The psychological labyrinth. 1. The primary bond is non-negotiable. Your position in the emotional hierarchy is permanently secondary. In a crisis, a child's need, real or perceived, will always supersede your own. You are not and cannot be the priority. 2. The ghost in the machine. The biological father is a permanent psychological presence. Whether he is involved or absent, benevolent or toxic, his shadow influences decisions, triggers emotions, and shapes family history you can never fully share. 3. The rescuer trap. The initial dynamic is often unconsciously built on a rescue fantasy, hers and yours. This is an unstable foundation that breeds resentment when the thank yous fade and the daily grind of parenting another's child sets in. 4. The displacement of grief and conflict. A single mother's prior relationship ended, often in trauma. Unprocessed grief, anger, or distrust can manifest indirectly in your relationship, a phenomenon known as displacement. 5. The impossibility of a clean slate. You are not building a new story. You are being inserted into an ongoing narrative with established plot lines, wounds, and characters. Your ability to define the relationship's culture is severely limited. 6. The perpetual outsider syndrome. Inside jokes, memories, and traditions that predate you will constantly remind you of your arrival status. You are joining their club, not co-founding a new one. 7. The discipline dilemma. Any attempt at discipline will be filtered through the biological parent's guilt, the child's potential manipulation, "You're not my real dad," and societal scrutiny. Your authority is inherently contested. 8. The loyalty bind. The child will often, at some point, force the mother to choose between them and you. This is a biological imperative for the child's sense of security. You will lose that bind. 9. The erosion of romantic primacy. Time, energy, and emotional bandwidth are finite. The demands of parenting drain the reservoir from which romantic partnership is sustained, often leaving it depleted. 10. The unacknowledged resentment. Your sacrifices will be expected. Hers will be celebrated. Your frustration will be framed as selfishness. Hers as exhaustion. This asymmetry breeds a deep, silent resentment that poisons intimacy. 11. The package deal rhetoric as coercion. The phrase, "love me, love my children," is emotionally logical, but practically coercive. It demands you suspend critical judgment of the most important long-term commitment of your life. 12. The constant management of another man's legacy. Your life, resources, and home will be dedicated in part to raising the genetic offspring of a rival male. This conflicts with a deep evolutionary drive for genetic legacy. 13. The fantasy versus reality chasm. The fantasy is of a grateful family unit. The reality is managing the fallout from the child's visit with the other parent, mediating teenage rebellion with no biological leverage, and financing a college fund for a child who may never see you as a father. 14. The blurring of motive. You will question your own motives. Are you staying out of love or out of guilt and a sunk cost fallacy? Is your partner with you for love or for stability and a father figure? This ambiguity corrodes certainty. 15. The lack of autonomy in major decisions. Choices about housing, schools, vacations, and even daily schedules are dictated by the child's needs and the co-parenting agreement. Your personal and couple autonomy is severely constrained. Part 2. The biological and evolutionary mismatch. 16. The investment reproduction paradox. You are directing immense resources, time, energy, money, protection, toward offspring that do not carry your genes. This is an evolutionary dead end, a misdirection of biological purpose. 17. The mate choice question. Evolutionary psychology suggests that a partner with prior offspring from another male can be a signal of questionable mate choice or circumstances that a high-value mate would avoid. This is a harsh but persistent subconscious bias. 18. The divergence of reproductive timelines. Her reproductive timeline is often accelerated by the presence of existing children. She may be done having children or want them immediately to bind the new family. Your own reproductive desires may be sidelined. 19. The paternal certainty void. For millions of years, the male biological imperative has been to ensure paternal certainty to avoid investing in rival genes. This instinct doesn't vanish because of modern law. It manifests as a low-grade chronic anxiety. 20. The resource diversion from your own genetic line. Every dollar spent on her child is a dollar not saved for your own potential biological child with her or with a future partner. You are diluting your own genetic legacy's resources. 21. The cuckoo in the nest dynamic. Biologically, you are in the position of a male who must tolerate the young of a previous male. In the animal kingdom, this often leads to aggression or neglect. In humans, it leads to complex, stressful psychology. 22. The altered mate bonding mechanism. The intense, exclusive bonding that occurs in a first-time childless partnership, pair bonding, is disrupted by the presence of prior offspring. The primary bond is already claimed. 23. The sexual dynamics shift. Her sexuality may be framed through the lens of motherhood, or affected by changes from prior births. The uninhibited, partner-focused sexuality of a childless union is often impossible to recreate. 24. The health and age factors. Depending on the age of the children, you may be partnering with a woman who is physiologically older than her years due to the stresses of single parenting, with implications for health, energy, and longevity of the relationship. 25. The instinctual distrust of the other male's influence. You will instinctively scrutinize the child's behavior, looks, and values for traces of the biological father, a constant reminder of your partner's prior sexual and reproductive choice. Part 3. The financial and legal quagmire. 26. The non-discretionary financial drain. Child support, extracurricular activities, medical costs, and education funds are legal and moral obligations that come before any discretionary spending for you as a couple. Your financial freedom is hamstrung. 27. The legal liability without legal authority. As a step-parent, you assume financial liability, in practice through household costs, but have zero legal authority over the child. You pay for a ship you do not captain. 28. The erosion of your estate. Your assets will inevitably be directed in part to support her children. In the event of your death, your biological family, parents, siblings, may be disinherited in favor of stepchildren who may have no lasting loyalty to you. 29. The risk of alimony on top of child support. If the marriage fails, you could be liable for alimony to her while she continues to receive child support from the biological father. You become the secondary financial support for another man's family unit. 30. The inhibition of wealth building. The significant recurring costs of raising children delay or eliminate your ability to invest, save for retirement, purchase property, or build generational wealth for your own bloodline. 31. The co-parent's control over your finances. The biological father's financial decisions, for example, losing a job and reducing child support, directly impact your household's financial stability. A stranger has a vote in your budget. 32. The holiday and vacation tax. Everything is more expensive. Flights, hotels, restaurant bills, tickets, all are multiplied. The simple couple getaways that strengthen bonds become logistical and financial marathons. 33. The college funding dilemma. Will you fund your stepchild's college? If you do, will you have enough for your own biological children? If you don't, will you be resented? It's a financial and emotional minefield. 34. The housing mandate. You cannot live in a small, cheap apartment. You must provide domicile space appropriate for children, dictating a higher mortgage or rent from day one. 35. The potential for fraudulent motive. While not universal, you must confront the statistical reality that a financially struggling single mother may prioritize stability and resources over romantic compatibility. You become a means to an end. Part 4. The relational and logistical minefield. 36. The permanent tether to an ex-partner. The co-parenting relationship means her ex is a permanent part of your life. His drama, his problems, his scheduling conflicts become your problems. 37. The erosion of spontaneity. Romantic weekends, last-minute plans, or even quiet evenings are contingent on a complex custody schedule. Your relationship runs on a calendar dictated by a court order. 38. The our child versus your child schism. If you have a biological child together, a subtle but devastating hierarchy emerges. Her children from a previous relationship, your joint child, and you create a three-tiered family structure fraught with favoritism and jealousy. 39. The amplification of normal conflicts. Every normal marital disagreement over money, time, sex is amplified and triangulated through the lens of the children and the ex-partner dynamics. 40. The lack of a true honeymoon period. You enter the relationship at the parenting stage, skipping the crucial bonding period of early marriage, where the couple is the sole focus. This deficit is rarely recovered. 41. The constant negotiation and compromise. Your preferences on discipline, values, screen time, diet, and education are perpetually negotiable. You are a committee member, not a decision maker. 42. The social isolation. Your childless friends will drift away as your life becomes incompatible with theirs. You may be isolated from her social circle if it revolves entirely around other single mothers. 43. The sacrifice of personal dreams. Dreams of travel, entrepreneurial risk, geographic mobility, or even pursuing a demanding hobby are subjugated to the rigid structure and financial demands of a ready-made family. 44. The holidays as a negotiation, not a celebration. Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays, all are subject to splitting, scheduling, and the emotional fallout of children leaving or arriving. They become exercises in logistics and emotional management, not joy. 45. The in-law complications. Your relationship with her parents may be framed as you being the savior, or conversely, as an interloper. Their loyalty is to their daughter and grandchildren, not to you. 46. The built-in audience for conflict. Every argument you have as a couple has witnesses. This inhibits resolution, amplifies stress, and can lead to children manipulating parental discord. 47. The high probability of relationship failure. Statistics consistently show that marriages involving children from previous relationships have a significantly higher divorce rate than first marriages. 48. The inevitable comparison. You will be compared, consciously or subconsciously, to the biological father. In arguments, you may hear, "Their father never did it that way," a weaponized comparison that is impossible to defeat. 49. The loss of your narrative. Your life story becomes a supporting role in her and her children's narrative. Your personal legacy is subsumed. 50. The daily grind without the biological reward. You endure the sleepless nights, teenage rebellion, and financial strain, but the primal biological reward of passing on your genes is absent. The hardship feels existential, not purposeful. Part 5. The societal and personal identity shift. 51. The stepfather stereotype. You are thrust into a cultural archetype, often portrayed as bumbling, evil, or irrelevant. There is no respected, positive cultural script for the stepfather. 52. The assumption of your role. Society, school, and other parents will assume you are the biological father, leading to awkward explanations or the erasure of your true position. 53. The judgment and scrutiny. You will be judged more harshly. A misstep in discipline or a moment of frustration, which would be overlooked in a biological father, is pathologized in a stepfather. 54. The erosion of your masculine purpose. Traditional masculine roles of protector and provider are directed toward another man's genetic line, creating a psychological dissonance where your efforts feel misapplied. 55. The good man trap. You are pressured into the marriage by societal narratives praising men who step up. To question the arrangement is to risk being labeled not a good man. 56. The loss of peer respect. Whether spoken or not, many men will see your choice as a form of capitulation, of accepting a compromised situation they themselves avoided. This can affect professional and social standing. 57. The identity confusion. Are you a father, a friend, a roommate, a bank? The role is ill-defined and constantly shifting, preventing you from settling into a secure identity within the family. 58. The pressure to suppress your needs. Your needs for peace, order, quiet, intimacy, and financial control are framed as threats to the family's stability. You learn to silence yourself. 59. The one-sided adaptation. The family system expects you to adapt to it entirely. There is minimal, if any, adaptation of the system to you. You are the variable. They are the constant. 60. The celebration of her resilience, the expectation of your sacrifice. Her journey is celebrated as heroic. Your participation is expected as baseline decency. This imbalance in recognition is psychologically draining. Part 6. The long-term and existential consequences. 61. The retirement at risk. The financial drain of raising children late into your life, potentially funding college in your 50s or 60s, can devastate your retirement savings, leaving you working indefinitely. 62. The caregiving dilemma. In your old age, will your stepchildren care for you? There is no biological or strong legal imperative for them to do so. You may face aging alone, despite decades of investment. 63. The genetic dead end. If you have no biological children of your own, your genetic line, the result